Hello, nerds! Nerds for Yang, this week's update. So here's a PowerPoint slide. It's actually Google Slides, but same thing. Summarizing where we're doing with polls, internet activity, mainstream media coverage, and betting odds. So for this week, let's start with the bad news. The polls. It's true that there are some polls where Yang in certain states is coming in at 3%. But to keep it real, I looked at the last three polls that I could find, May 17th, 15th, and 14th. One by Fox national poll at 1%, one by Quinnipiac, Pennsylvania poll at 0%, and another national poll by Morning Consult at 1%. So I'd have to give this one a red. You can find polls like in South Carolina where it's 2%, but honestly, you'd want this to be higher by now. And let me give you an example. A lot of people in the comments in the past have said, hey, doesn't matter, these polls are useless. You know, Trump wasn't anywhere at this time in the campaign. So I looked in May of 2015, Quinnipiac national poll. Trump was not leading, but he at least had 5%. That's one thing. Another thing I've heard is people say, oh, polls are BS. It's just old people getting called on their landlines. Like, people don't even have landline calls anymore. So I looked at one of the examples of the most recent polls, the Fox News polls, and they did call mostly people on cell phone numbers. Now, you could say, well, what kind of people answer their cell phone? I don't know. Like, you could say a lot of things, but you could also say that polls aren't crazy. Some people said they were so wrong about Trump getting elected. So I looked at the polls right before the 2016 election, and you're right. If you're concerned about polling kind of accuracy, they did have Clinton ahead of Trump, but only by about 3 points. So it wasn't like the polls had Trump at 10 and he ended up getting 49%. They had him at 46%. A few days before the election. I don't know. I mean, I'll buy that polls aren't perfect, but I don't think they're completely should be ignored either. And we just need to work harder. So hopefully everybody that's watching this that's supporting Yang is doing their part, either by giving money, by helping spread the word, talking to your friends, sharing stuff on social, liking and sharing this video. Hint, hint. I think it would be down there, or maybe it'd be down there. Anyway, whatever. Just do your part. And if you want to support this channel, that's great too. So that's polls. Polls are going to have to give us a red. We need to make some more progress there. It's early, but we'd like to see it higher. Now, in terms of internet activity, I'd give that more of like a light green. You have Buttigieg and Harris adding 2 times more followers a day than Yang. But a week ago, they were adding like 3 to 10 times more a day. So that gap is starting to close very nicely. And in terms of Google searches, Iowa, a lot of people searching for Buttigieg, but interesting trends for Google search activity in New Hampshire and South Carolina. So let's look at some specifics here. So this is a chart of daily Twitter followers. You could see the purple is Harris. So she's always been kind of like the leading contender in the new Democrats category. The non-male baby boomer candidates category. And then you see here that blue burst of Buttigieg. But you also see Buttigieg kind of trailing down. And then the red is Yang. And he's kind of like non-existent until basically the Rogan podcast. But now they're kind of just all scrunched together, which in a weird way is good for Yang because those other guys were really riding high and now they're all just kind of in a dogfight. Here's a look at internet searches for either Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, or Kamala Harris over the last 30 days across the United States. What you'll see here is that Buttigieg was very strong, but you see that trend is kind of a downward trend. And you also see a little bit of a nice steady. So Beto, he's not quite gone. And then Yang is the blue line, kind of very steady, but not really spiking up the way we'd want. And they're all starting to kind of bunch together. So that's an interesting tightening of the race. Now, if you look at Iowa, also really bunched together, but you see the red line is Buttigieg, and he's pretty much like Mr. Iowa right now. And he's not way above, but you definitely would rather be him than the blue line, which is Yang. New Hampshire, it's a little bit more of a toss-up. You see a strong interest for Buttigieg and then kind of leveling off, and then you've got Yang kind of bumping up and down, but also, some days being the most searched for person. So New Hampshire, promising. South Carolina, on May 15th, there were more people searching for Yang in South Carolina than there were people searching for Booty, O'Rourke, or Harris. I think Booty's not going to do well in South Carolina. It might be who knows? It might come down to maybe Yang versus Harris. Who knows? We'll have to watch that one. Booty still, you can't rule him out. I think he generates interest. It's just the last couple days Yang kind of burst through. Next, let's look at media coverage in mainstream media. Very strong week for the press team in the Yang campaign. Got Fox News, Newsweek, ABC News, and Wall Street Journal. That's pretty awesome. So I think I gave green for mainstream media two weeks in a row. So kudos to the press team. And last, we'll cover betting odds. Where are people putting their money, and what are the odds makers giving these candidates? This pinkish line is Yang. You see pretty much steady. He's kind of number 6 behind Biden, Sanders, Harris, Booty, and Warren. I think the trends I would call out here is you'll see Booty kind of in terms of this period of time in the last month or so, a little bit of a downward. That purple line is kind of not trending in a great direction for Booty. On the other hand, you see Harris, the brown line, very strong, a very strong number 3, in fact. And then the other one to keep an eye on is Warren, that like a bluish green. She's actually coming around as well. So overall, Yang odds good, kind of steady. O'Rourke kind of dropping. And Gabbard picking up a little bit. So we'll see if she becomes even stronger in following updates. If I had to summarize, let's go back to the summary slide. Polls, no bueno. Need some more traction there. Internet, looking good, closing the gap, especially on Twitter. Watch New Hampshire and South Carolina. Maybe Yang will have an upset there. Mainstream media, kudos to the press team. High five, nerd power there. And then betting odds up from number 7 to number 6 for the Democratic Party nomination. But that was mostly because of other people falling, not necessarily because of Yang moving up. We got a lot of work to do. It's only May 2019, so we've got plenty of time to catch up, and let's keep working hard. And if this video was useful to you and you made it all the way to the end and you want to be notified of updates, I do these videos every week, so make sure you subscribe. And also check us out on Twitter. I tweet almost every day about the race, so follow me on Twitter at Nerds for Yang. See you guys next week. In the meantime, keep it real.